Hi, everybody. Welcome back to HR After Dark. I'm Marcia.
And I'm Meghan.
And here we are again, guys. This is our second episode of the year so far. Very excited to have a dear friend of us with us today, Julie Palumbo. Hello,
Hi.
Julie.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Welcome. So good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
And Julie is the founder of Best Whole Self. And when did you found this company?
It officially launched January 1 of 2018.
Okay, because I remember, I'm diving in here. I remember when you launched the business.
Yes.
Me
And
too.
so, employee wellness had been, moving and grooving through the different types of corporate settings, but you obviously noticed a gap. So why don't you take us back to that and
Yes.
what made you start the business and give us your story?
Of course. I started my career in finance as a financial advisor, first for Morgan Stanley and then Merrill Lynch. And it was during that time I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And my illness really took over a lot in my early 20s and in the early part of my career, but I kind of kept pushing it aside. And finally, in 2014, I had major surgery for my Crohn's, and I had a wake-up call that it has to be more than just medicine. There has to be something else that I should be doing. So I started working with my own nutritionist and was open to a whole world of how much better I could feel that I didn't realize. On the flip side, I was talking about this with my clients. My clients, as an advisor, knew that I had Crohn's, and I guess they felt comfortable in sharing with me their health ailments. And I thought, we're helping them plan for their lives financially, for a better future, for their hopes and dreams. We would always ask, what do you want to be when you retire and all of that. But if they weren't healthy enough to enjoy it, then what was the point of accumulating all of this wealth? So I realized once I thought that I had to shift gears and that my passion was more in helping people from a health standpoint. I had seen how much it helped me when I focused on my health. And if I could pivot and make my health better and my quality of life better, relationships work, all of that, I wanted to be able to do that for someone else. So I was kind of doing two things at once. It took a while to be certified, first as a nutritionist and then a health coach. And then I had to get some practice under my belt. And it was actually Marcia, when I talked about doing both. I was at a networking event for financial advising, slipped in about health coaching, and you said you just lit up when you talked about that. And I said, well, it's just my side gig right now. And you looked at me and you said, not for long. And it was maybe 6 months later, if that I told my team, I'll give you 6 months and then I'm out. Because you can't give 100% to two things.
Yeah.
And it was just apparent that I had to follow my passion. And I did, and I launched Best Whole Self officially January 1 of 2018, and I got married soon after and then had kids, so I felt like if it wasn't then, it was never going to happen.
Yep.
But I felt like the benefit of having that finance and corporate background was that I understood what people were going through, not just myself, and the demands and how, taking a personal day was like taboo and it was a badge of honor to be running on coffee and no sleep. And I really wanted to change that narrative.
And you have. So you basically are putting wellness in a whole new category.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look at it 8 years later. Here we are. Wellness is usually one of the top 3 issues in any basically workplace.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you're starting to see a lot of the trends, things are happening. You get hired out there. People and companies hire you to talk about the wellness and all too. What are the top 3 things? Top 3 things right now that you get asked to do and come in and speak about the most?
Yes, I get asked to come in and do a lot of talks about burnout, beating burnout. I feel like that is just something that especially my commuting clients have experienced because they are now getting used to being in the office more than they used to. I also have teams bring me in from a leadership perspective of recognizing when their teams need more support. And that could look like maybe additional resources to therapists or functional medicine, anything like that to kind of pick it out, because it's more than just saying, here's your 401k plan and here's your health benefits.
Yes.
Employees are looking for more from their employers. And the last thing that I'm really brought in to talk about is how to be efficient with your day and your time. So it's not so much about doing more, but just doing it more efficiently. So whether you're working from home or you're in the office, we all have the same amount of time in a day. And that will look different for everybody, where they spend their time, where they fit in workouts. I talk about meal prep a lot and how you could use your specific schedule to make it work for you. So it's not these blanketed statements that I'm giving. I'm doing a lot of one-on-one coaching within companies because everybody's so individual and customized. And on a larger scale, just making sure that they are recognizing the signs so that they're not getting to that burnout stage.
Yeah. Do most CEOs provide resources to their team currently beyond like a step challenge or like a water intake challenge, which I think are all valuable and they're fun and they help you build your culture. But what other types of resources are you seeing CEOs provide to their
So to answer your question, no, not many are doing it. The ones that fortunately, the companies who bring me in are really kind of a step ahead of everyone else because they realize their employees need more than just a step tracker.
Yeah.
You know, they need that extra accountability and support and ideas. And I do feel like the additional steps, it's nice, like they get wellness dollars, so they could give it to their employees to spend on a gym membership or defray costs. There are certain companies who do offer like actual therapist resources, links, provide information, or do even like on-site more of like a mental health kind of aspect. What I appreciate a lot of the companies do who I work for is that they bring me in on an ongoing basis. So it's not just a one-off on, nutrition one-on-one for busy professionals that goes in one ear and out the other, or they leave the room being all amped up about it, and then a week later they're done.
Yeah.
It is the workshop, then the implementation of either group coaching, small group coaching that has been really popular within the past year and a half. 5 or 6 employees get together virtually and we talk about different topics and they support each other, hold each other accountable. It's really great. Or the one-on-one coaching where they see me every month. I'm in their office every month and I'm following up on what their goals are and what needs to be addressed and whatnot.
Holding them
And it
accountable.
just makes the world of a difference in the morale and the support and productivity that they get out of their employees.
I like the group idea. I think that's actually good because I think people like to have account. Once you put it out there to the universe, it'll actually start to happen.
It's all accountability.
It totally is. Yeah, and keeping each other on track. We have a step challenge here, and it is a little intense. They are all talking about how they dusted off their walking boards. And I sat there like, oh boy. And, so I saw the list. We have 4 teams. And so I'm sitting there like, how did those 2 get paired? Because
Yeah, we have to look at the runners.
Right?
And we have to spread them out.
Yeah.
We spread out the runners because
Yeah.
it's not fair if there's like the big,
like,
it's once, remember
how did
one
Kate
of
and
the,
Ashley get on the same team? How did that
are they on the
happen?
same team?
Yes.
Oh, that's,
I'm like,
that's,
we're like, dude.
that's rigged.
It
It has to be. It has to be.
So, but it, stuff like that, I feel as if we got to do that. But what's happening with the work week? I'm a big data person, and so the work week has changed. Whereas before COVID, I would say an average people were working, about 55 hours. And now, I'm lucky to get 40 hours of a person.
Yeah.
The average, I did some study on this over the break. The average work week that people actually work per week is now in the U.S. 34 hours a week.
Wow.
And so I know when people are saying they're stressed and stuff like that, but I'm like, okay, the numbers are coming down significantly. So why is our stress and anxiety going through the roof?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I always tell people like, you're busy, but I don't think we're as busy as we were 20 years ago. I think we are just so many things going on that we make it look like we're busier.
Yes.
So I don't know if you're starting to see a change in that and all too, but the average work week, and it's actually lower in Europe.
I'm sure.
I think it's 32 hours. And so I'm like, and I know that they're moving to a 4-day work week as it is, but we've got a pretty generous PTO policy and we have pretty good, strong holidays here. But if I say that, hey, you get 4 more weeks vacation, no one's going to bat an eye on that puppy. And so it's figuring out how does this make it work that we actually take care of ourselves, not feel guilty about it, but make sure it's part of our daily routine.
Yeah, and you make a really good point. And I feel like just like if you had a closet, you would fill the space. That's how we are with time. We are going to fill the space. So maybe we're not working the same amount of hours, but we're still doing many things.
Yeah.
And it could be, maybe 3 of your hours a day are commuting. So you're not working three extra hours, but you're still commuting. So you have that. I have a lot of New York clients who an hour commute is nothing to them.
Yeah.
That's like easy. It's a good day.
Right.
Yeah. And then I have clients who work from home who maybe it is a little, they work a little, then they don't, but they have no clear cut barrier and no start and finish. So mentally, they're still very cluttered and on the clock, even though physically they're not working because there wasn't a definitive stop and go. So I feel like people are feeling the burnout, maybe not necessarily from their 9 to 5, but cumulatively between their extracurricular activities, commuting, being on, even extra things with their family, friends, things like that. Yes, it could be very overwhelming. And then they have to work too.
Oh, absolutely. But it has changed so much so, whereas now we have Audible, now we have podcasting, and you actually can listen to things. And I'm constantly learning. I don't shut it off because I'm always learning.
Right.
I feel as if I constantly have to learn. And people say, you have a problem shutting down. I said, I do.
Do you ever sit in silence?
Not much.
Ever in the car?
Except for walking. When I go walking, I do.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and even in the car now, I have to listen to something.
You have to.
Yeah, it's my brain. I feel like I'm wasting time if I don't do that. Even if
I know.
if I'm cleaning dishes, I have to be listening to something. And it's just because the fact I'm just so used to, and I sleep better when I do that. I can't just not do anything.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's really, wellness is a personal preference of how you want to take care of it. Because no matter how you look at it, you only have 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
But I think learning is a form of wellness.
It is.
You're taking in information that makes you feel good. Fills your cup. And while I don't think that you make a lot of time for yourself, just as an observer, that is something that you enjoy.
I love it.
I do still think you need to sit in silence sometimes.
Yeah, or go to Florida, as you mentioned to me yesterday.
I said to you yesterday,
you need sunlight.
I'm like, hey, could you go to Florida for a couple of days? She was like, what?
Cranky?
No, I was like, you know what though? I think everyone says the winter blues and it's just, it is.
Oh, I get it.
I think everybody is missing the sunshine.
Yes.
These, especially this break was so cold.
It was so cold. And it's January around here is just gray.
But you're a sunshine lady.
I know, I need my sunshine.
And the vitamin D,
Yes.
it really is from a psychological and biological need that we need the sunlight. And to your point, Meg, yes, reading for you is healthy, or taking in information and learning is healthy for you. You need it. Your body needs it. Your mind needs it. If you took it away, your brain would be like, what are you doing to me? Why are you holding it? And you're in the habit now of doing it. So habits are so critical in anything that we do. And you are in the habit of learning, and that's what works. And it really highlights how what works for someone might not work for everyone.
Yes.
So when on your own health journey, taking into consideration your own needs, personality, body type, goals, all of that really makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people, too, find a way to, work out in the morning, work out the best. I'm like, I bet it is. If you are an early riser, you can get out easily and all, too, no problem. But, when you go through certain times, especially menopause, you have no control of the fact that you will not be sleeping well.
Yes. Yeah.
And people are like, you could take supplements and all, too. I said, yeah, but it's just part of life right now, and I think people, you go through these ups and you go through the downs. So it's figuring out what are those tips that are going to help us. And I think it's really an individual journey. But I love, you mentioned the small groups. I think we should do more of those.
I love the small group idea.
The small groups is great. As I said, it adds accountability. It also adds ideas. I was with a particular company most recently who's bi-coastal. So there were employees on the call who are in office and others who are always remote. So they had their unique set of challenges. However, they were really good in sharing ideas and what helped them, or different resources. And I'm not going to be the one who has all the answers. So it really was nice to hear from other people and just share ideas and get people having a conversation. And it even brings up ideas that maybe someone didn't even know that they should pay attention to. So it's awesome. I absolutely love the small group coaching within companies.
It makes sense and all, too. But I think, one of the questions we wanted to ask you is what's changed? Because it's been 8 years of this. And I can tell you, just on an HR benefit side of the house, like wellness is like the hot topic.
Yes.
It wasn't 8 years ago.
No.
And now it is. What's been changing out there to make that happen?
I really give credit to those who keep going to have conversations with the decision makers in the companies to get the wellness component in there, because it has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
The smaller companies, I think, were kind of first to adapt this new mindset, more forward thinking. There are still certain larger companies who, they have to pick and choose, and the different industries, I will say, approach it differently as well.
Right.
But what really has changed is the great resignation, and when so many companies lost employees because they weren't getting what they wanted. And once one employer started offering benefits that did not just look like dental, vision, health, and a 401k plan, and they started saying, well, now you get wellness dollars, and now we are giving you monthly coaching calls with a certified health coach. And people talk and they find out, wait, your company is giving you this for free, and they're investing in your health and wellness. And it just is a chain reaction.
Oh, yeah.
In so many great ways, and having healthier snacks in the break room. I mean, that's like one small thing, but it's a big thing.
It is a big thing,
they
especially with the different
understand.
generations, like the younger generations. Like wellness is life. Like
It is.
It's all they care about.
Yep.
And okay, that's maybe not all they care about, but it is a lifestyle.
Yes.
And it's dramatically changed too, which is good for businesses as well.
Yes, yes. I've been brought into a lot of companies who have seen and fortunately recognized that their employees are reaching that point of burnout, and they want to make them happier. And that's another thing that has changed, is that companies care more about the happiness, because I think they're realizing that the happier the employee is, the more productive they're going to be, and the better they're going to want to do.
Agree with that.
And they're going to want that support and dedication. So all of a sudden, people realize, hey, if we had someone work for us who's happier, they're going to do a lot better. And how do you make them happier? You pay attention to what they need and what they have to do, and anything that it comes outside of these four walls of the building. So it's really wonderful to see.
Yeah, it's definitely not just the employee doing the work anymore. It's like the whole self of what they want to do, why they want to do it, and are they happy here. But I gotta tell you, we've got a really good supply of like really nutritious snacks and all too.
Great.
But we still have to supply a lot of the chocolate candy, by the way. Okay, we do.
We even have
It's
bone broth.
balanced.
We even have bone broth.
We have bone broth too.
yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you seen the memes on social media that are talking about millennials when they entered the workforce? And it was like, you go out, you go to happy hour, you go out, you probably eat pizza till like midnight, and then you go to work like nothing had ever happened. Like
Yes.
all these nights in a row.
Yes.
Like that is, I like look back and I'm like, you talked about this. You worked 60 plus hours a week,
Easy.
right? And you go back like nothing had never happened the next day.
Yeah.
And then now it's all about like matchas and mass. And I love all of like the things on social about
I didn't know what matcha was for at least a year. Okay, I had to ask somebody. I was like, "What's a matcha?"
Yeah.
They're like, "It's not a matcha. It's like it's tea." And I'm like, "I don't understand.
Yeah.
Don't have any coffee." And so to me, I'm the X. So it's a whole different ball game. You're the millennial. My son's the Z. So I'm trying to figure out everything he eats is protein. And I was sat there like, you don't have to constantly do that. And there's like eggs and all. And he's like, I have protein bars, Mom. And it's a whole different talk.
It is.
Anymore. And the kids his age are doing running clubs versus hanging out to the bars.
Yes.
So the drinking
Yes.
age, the drinking, that age group of Zs has significantly decreased.
Yes.
And it's going further down because they're so conscientious about their health, which is great because we were not. We were told to work or you have no job. So it's
Right.
your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, oh, yeah, well, you're okay. Or you can come in late. There was no late in my world. It was 8 o'clock in the morning with stockings and high heel. You didn't make that
Yes.
train. Yeah, that wasn't good. And there was, daycare, too bad, find another way. And it's hard for us to understand that because it's a rite of passage, I guess you could say. But when the Zs become the Xers age, they're going to have their own issues with, I guess, what's going to be called then the Ds by then.
Yeah, maybe.
The A, B, C, Ds. and so you're like, okay, every year it's something going to be something.
It's
Yeah.
always something. And I do appreciate that now. You might say that they're more coddled or whatever it is. But you know what? The people who I saw who were in their 50s who were burning out or getting very, very ill right before retirement or right after, hopefully is not an issue. And hopefully their quality of life is better. And now with technology, we could work smarter and not harder. And I was that millennial. You know, we would go out. We had a bar in the lobby of our building when I worked at Morgan Stanley, and I started in 2008. Phillies won the World Series that year. Like, it was an automatic. Before going to the train, you looked into the bar to see who was there. And it just ended up being, midnight. And then you'd get home and you had to get up and be in the office by 7:30 the next morning. And you just did it.
You just did it. And you're like,
no one was being like, that's not going to last long. Like, you're going to burn out from that. So I think I talk a lot about balance in my practice, and same thing with the snacks versus the chocolate, and going out for a night to drink versus, taking care of yourself at home early. It's just all comes down to balance.
Yeah,
balance, lots of balance.
Yes.
Absolutely. And priorities.
While
too.
we're talking about balance, something we talked about a few minutes ago was when you were referring to people working throughout the day, but many barriers. They might start early, then they take a break, and then they work through the entire day and through the night. There's a term for this. I read this a couple weeks ago called micro shifting, and it's basically you take your day. Many people are turning to work in this way, that they start early, then maybe they want to drop their kids off at school, go home and have a coffee, do something at home, then they start working, and that happens all the way through the day, all the way through like ready to go to bed. Micro shifting. I guarantee this is happening within every single company. However, wellness can be fit in there, obviously.
Yes.
If CEOs are doing this or leadership teams, what's working for them now? When you have a really successful CEO that you're working with, and maybe their entire day looks like that.
Yeah.
What do you see working for some of these clients of yours?
That is a great question. And I like that adaptability to be able to step into parent role and then work role. From a mental standpoint, it's hard to keep shifting.
It's hard.
It's
hard.
Challenging, because you have to go from dealing with whatever was happening at the school, and then all of a sudden, like, major decision has to be made on my next call. Like, that is really difficult. But the beauty of it is that you kind of get to have a little bit of everything and make it all work for you. I'm a big advocate of exercise snacking, which is instead of doing one hour workout, you break it up and you do maybe a 15-minute abs core work, and then maybe you do a 15-minute walk, and then you could do 15-minute of upper body, and you spread it out throughout the day, which totally works. I think the people who are most successful at this are those who exercise it, no pun intended, but do it very diligently and are disciplined and making sure that the lines aren't getting too blurred. Because that's where then it could be a mental burnout, because you're with your child, but you're mentally still at the office. And then you're not being present with your child, and you're not being present at work. So you're trying to do two things at once, and you're just not being successful in either way. Right. So by being really disciplined in saying, okay, now my time with my children is my time with my children, and the phone is away. That, and then when I'm locked into work, I am locked into work. That prevents that.
That's me. Sorry.
Okay. That prevents that mental burnout of always being stimulated, whether it be, what you're doing at the moment versus thinking about what you could or should be doing.
Yeah, but for being a mom, being a female in particular, I would say we are way harder on ourselves than anything. And we will constantly say to ourselves, we deserve this, we should put it in there, and we do, but you all know we're caretakers and stuff like that. It's been really hard. And I think even harder because I'm seeing a lot of my friends be the caretakers now as well. And I've already been all through all that. And it's so stressful, and time, the day goes.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, you are once again last. And people are like, well, that's your own fault. I agree. It is. I said, but my priority is taking care of my family. And so I really put that up as number one. But they always say, put the oxygen mask on. I'm like, I know we all say we want to do that. I just think it's harder than it says.
Yes. I feel like it doesn't have to be every day, though. That
I
could
agree.
be, like, if you put yourself top of the list 3 days a week to work out, non-negotiable, that's better than zero. And it's also not every day of the week. So if I'm a nighttime working out person, and
After the kids go to bed?
What'd you say?
After the kids go
Oh,
to
yes.
bed?
After the kids go to bed. So the kids are in bed by 7:30 and dinner's done and everything. So 7:30 to 8:30 is my time, my workout time. And not every night, though. Sometimes I'm exhausted, and sometimes I want to watch a show with my husband. Sometimes I do have some things from the day that didn't get done that need to. But if I think, oh, it's only 3 days, well, then that gives me room and almost like permission then to really dive in and enjoy this workout, because I know then tomorrow I don't have to do it.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of thing. So you could still prioritize your family 4 days a week, but give yourself the gift of the workout 3 times a week.
Yeah. And I also think, so I started my career in wellness. I ran wellness for a YMCA.
Wow.
And when I had clients, I would say it's all about finding something you enjoy. Because that when you obviously you see like a group fitness schedule, some people need the camaraderie. Some people would rather be alone. But once you find something that you enjoy, you love pickleball, right? That gets you there. The camaraderie of it and the activity, right? That's a huge workout. It's finding something that you like too. It's like if I know I have to get on, do a workout that I don't want to do, I'm going to find every excuse not to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We
But
all
then
do.
the second that I have that time on my calendar to say, I know I'm going to do this, and I crave it.
Yeah.
Now it's different when the kids and all the all the
Yes,
things,
yes.
but I think it's all about finding something that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed. But I do think sometimes we're still so hard, and and life just gets in the way.
100%.
That's all. But moving into, you have a strategy called BEST.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
That is B for balance, as I mentioned a lot. That is really the core of my philosophy and everything, all wellness. E is for energy, and that could come from diet or not diet. You could get energy in your body through breathing and stretching and sunlight.
Does espresso martinis count?
Yeah.
I'm just asking for
And
it.
Florida trips.
Yeah.
In balance, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
One every other day. So
Balance. One with vodka, one not.
one on
One
one
just
hand and one on the
plain.
other. So
The S is for strategy, and that is actually what you are going to do to get you to where you need to be. So it's not just randomly every now and then you try amping up your protein, or maybe you try intermittent fasting, or maybe you try keto. It's actually having a strategy.
Right.
And that is where me being a health strategist really goes in there and says, hey, you want to get to this goal by this date. What steps have to be taken to
Right.
get there? So
Got
it
it.
is the actual plan of where you are going to achieve your goals in order to see the T in transformation. So the transformation is the whole thing, top to bottom, and celebrating the little wins as you go. So a transformation doesn't have to be the 20-pound weight loss. The transformation could be that this week I walked 3 days for an hour at a time, and 2 weeks ago I was barely making it 2 days for an hour at a time. That is a transformation, and just honoring that over and over in order to see the results. So between balance, energy, strategy, and transformation, that is really how I work with clients, whether it be a corporate client or an individual, to see how they can reach their full potential in their health and wellness.
So thinking about the workplace, bringing it all back into the workplace. If an employee is burned out, if an employee is not managing their time correctly, what are the implications? Tell me what it should. What's the reality of it now?
The reality of them being burnt out, what does that look like?
What does it mean for CEOs?
A lot of it is just not having balance, actually. And it's almost like the opposite of burnout is balance, and both start with B, so it can work both ways, because people have an all or nothing approach.
Yeah.
always.
And you could get burnt out of eating dessert. It's not necessarily work. You could burn out of anything.
Anything.
So if you have this mentality that I have to go all in, and I have a few clients right now, New York clients in particular, who just have that all in mentality, that we just had to restructure some days of the week and fit in 15-minute
Oh, wow.
pieces to recenter them and refocus them so that they know, one, when they're getting stressed, what can they do in a healthy manner to combat that? because we're going to have stress no matter what our job is,
Yeah.
you know, or maybe even outside of the office. But how to better manage that, how to create breaks for them without the guilt. And
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
again, where the balance comes in. You know, you're allowed to have it. You will do better with it. Your people around you will do better with it. I always have the conversation, what are you like when you work out versus when you don't?
Yeah,
And I have so many clients who say, you know, they come home a different person.
absolutely.
So that means that if they take 30 minutes, which they would think is being selfish, but they're a better partner, a better
They are.
parent.
Better not. Yep.
Right. They need and I would always say,
You are.
what if I said that to your child, that if mommy works out for 30 minutes, she's going to be happier and be able to play with you and have more energy? They would say, well, yeah, do it. And that is really the mentality, that it doesn't have to be every day. But if you take some of that time,
Yeah.
leave the mental load alone, because that's another thing, is the mental shift
Yep.
of just making sure I'm doing this, I'm all in, I don't feel guilty. And kind of just doing by example, taking the vacation. When you're out of the office, put the out of office on. Setting those realistic expectations for your team as well, and letting them know of you. And I say this to a lot of team members, communication these days is both ample and restricted. And I feel like people don't always have open conversations anymore because we're behind screens when we're doing it. So I will encourage teams to have open conversations about what their expectations are of their teammates. And if I'm working with the employee who is not in charge of the team, I will say, do you know what your boss's expectations are of you? And most of the time they don't. So they may be overworking themselves for no reason, or they may be answering emails at 7 a.m. when their boss is like, well, it's okay, you could wait until 8.
Right.
So just have these open conversations of what's expected of you, what you expect of others, and just get on the same page so that you're not feeling guilty and you're not doing something that you don't even have to do.
I totally agree. Joel, this has been great. I think that the small groups, the tips, the best are wonderful. How do people get a hold of you?
They can reach out to me on my website. That is just bestwholeself.com. I have all of my contact information on there, or if they would like to schedule an introductory call that we could talk about their team and their needs and what they specifically need. And they could also follow me on Instagram, which is just my name, Julie, middle initial M, Palumbo.
Are you going to post that mocktail on your
I am
Instagram?
the rosemary
Yeah.
citrus mocktail.
Yep.
Yes, it is so good. Mocktails are huge right now.
They're huge
very-
right now.
they're
They're
in.
like the top thing of selling right now.
And also on every menu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you notice that? Do you notice that, like, on the menus
Yeah.
at restaurants,
Yes.
there's a mocktail section?
I'm very aware now because when I was pregnant,
Yep.
they were not.
They
and
were
I,
not,
I would
I
have to
know.
tell the bartender, like, make me something fruity. And I
Yeah.
would get, like, orange juice in a martini glass.
Yeah.
And now they are so
They're amazing.
complex that they're
Yeah.
basically like real cocktails.
For
And
sure.
they taste amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a great conversation, especially to kick off the year. And I feel like this is a critical time for many companies. So I'm all about how small and large companies can incorporate wellness. And I think that any CEO would be lucky to work with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the small tips that matter. They do. But you just have to make the time to do it. Because did you know by January the 10th is when most New Year's resolutions basically go away.
Yeah.
They either didn't do it or whatever by 10th. I was like, just you gave yourself just 10 days. You know?
It's too intense. It's more about consistency than intensity. And
Yeah.
people go so intense
Yep.
that they can't be consistent. So it's just, they burn out
Yeah.
instead of having that balance. And it's and one other thing I want to note from what has shifted to in recent years, it is very apparent now that leaders are noticing the advantages of being proactive with health instead of reactive. So it costs them less
Sure.
to invest in wellness programs, to have their clients, or their employees get to a point where they are taking care of themselves. They're being on top of their regular appointments and blood work and all of that, because it's so much less expensive to get your blood drawn to make sure that you're within range of all of your markers, as opposed to then going to the next step and seeing specialists and everything. And now with the rising cost of healthcare, it really has become, I think, more of a talking point
yeah.
of
Definitely.
preventative care and being proactive overreactionary care when it comes to your health.
Oh,
Totally
I couldn't
agree.
agree more with you, especially with the rising. I mean, I said the average this year between 15 and 20% increase in healthcare premiums. So any little bit helps.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
You know, to get it going. But it is interesting time because unfortunately with remote, people still like just staying at home and moving and not moving from that chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you have to put it in there of like standing up and they're standing up, but still they're just standing up. They're not really moving.
I do think it's important too. One thing that we did was we asked our teammates what they want.
That's great.
And everyone needs something different. Maybe I don't care. Maybe I don't need the extra help with the exercising, but maybe I need accountability on, you know, the consistency in my diet. Maybe it's I need to, you know, have some mental health conversations. Whatever it is that the person needs, everyone needs something different.
Yes.
They do.
So asking them
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I support you? I have clients who they just didn't make their annual appointment for years. So I would say, okay, your goal this week, schedule your appointment. The next day, I was like, hey, did you call your doctor? Schedule. And the one
you
at
text me to
one
do mine?
point, she was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I was on hold. And then I got a call come in. So I hung up and I never called back. So maybe they just need to be reminded to have their annual physical and blood work. But they need it.
I need that.
Yeah, right? I know.
It's funny. I have no problem doing it for my kids, but then I'm like, man, I haven't been to the doctors in quite a while.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I get that. I get that all the time too.
Yeah, it's like I gotta get my
When's
kids.
the last time I've been to the
I gotta get my
doctor?
kids at the dentist, but when do I? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I make my dentist. No
Yeah,
matter
you're
what.
very good with
My
that.
teeth, absolutely. Julie, thank you. Thanks for being on here.
Thank you.
on the
Yeah, this was
show.
a great conversation.
Congratulations. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And look forward to hearing more about your major success
Thank you.
out there and all too. But I'm glad I had a little piece of it. So that's awesome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I
Thank
forgot
you.
about
Thanks
that.
for having me. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
awesome
you.
stuff. All right. So that was it today, everybody. This is HR After Dark. I'm Marcia.
and I'm Megan, and we'll see you next time.